reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said, "Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever does not enter a sheepfold through the gate, but climbs over elsewhere, is a thief and a robber. But whoever enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens it for him, and the sheep hear his voice. As the shepherd calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has driven out all his own, he walks ahead of them, and the sheep follow him, because they recognize his voice. But they will not follow a stranger. They will run away from him, because they do not recognize the voice of strangers." Although Jesus used this figure of speech, the Pharisees did not realize what he was trying to tell them. So Jesus said again, "Amen, amen, I say to you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved, and will come in and go out and find pasture. A thief comes only to steal and slaughter and destroy. I came so that they may have life and have it more abundantly." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Jesus said, "Those who know me listen to my voice and follow me." Now, I know many of you already know the story about Dr. Scott Hahn, but it's worth hearing many times. He was originally a Presbyterian minister with his doctorate in theology. And he hated the Catholic Church so much, he decided he's going to go out of the way to prove just how wrong the Catholic Church is. And he spent about the next 3 years doing research. And the more he researched, the more he realized how right the Catholic Church is. To the point that he became so convinced that he was confirmed a Catholic. That's an example of those who hear the voice of the shepherd. They hear the voice of truth and they follow it. And that was possible because he humbled himself and emptied himself of his pride and his ego. In today's gospel, a few times we hear Jesus talking about listening to the voice of the shepherd. What does that mean for you and I? What does it mean to listen to the voice of the shepherd? At least in one way it means prayer. For us it means prayer. And Saint Teresa of Avila, one of the 33 doctors of the Church, and her area of speciality just happens to be prayer, so she's doctor of prayer. She says, in a very few words, that prayer is the raising of the heart and the mind to God. Prayer is also especially listening to God. Yes, prayer is a two-way conversation. It's not just about us saying our prayers and speaking words, but it's also about listening to God. And maybe the listening is much more important. And then my next question would be, so how do we listen to God? Well, if you think about it, God is not limited. He's all-powerful and He's almighty. So God can talk to us in any way that He wants to. And if He wants to speak to you in a clear and audible voice that you can hear with your ears, He can do that. And He has done it. Like with Samuel in the Old Testament. God called to him a few times during the night, and at first he didn't get it. But finally, with the help of the priest Eli, he says, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." Now, I'm sure in your normal experience, you probably haven't experienced that. I haven't. So in our society and our day and age, how does God normally talk to us? There are a few normal ways that He speaks to us. Maybe one of the very first ways is in and through creation, through the beauty of creation. Just picture in your minds a beautiful sunset, or a rainbow going through the sky, or a beautiful mountain or valley. And so because of that, St. Paul, at the beginning of his letter to the